Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestle Plug. It's time to discuss WWE Royal Rumble 2022 because it's literally just finished. It's just gone down. We had a long night, a 6-7 hour watch along style party. Plenty of people pitching up. Shout out to everyone who joined us. But most importantly, two people have stayed behind with me to pick at the delectable treats that are left, or not so delicious treats that are left, as it might be the case with one certain main event. I'm, of course, Aeron, the most unprofessional wrestler in the house. And joining me is, of course, the Maple Leaf Magician, the Duke of Diabetes, and Canada's most enraged citizen, Kyle Wilkinson.
Oh, they won't even get it. They can't handle it.
They will get it, and they will handle it. And joining us as well is the proprietor of Peacehaven and the number one cheerleading announcer for a non-existent John Moxley in WWE. It can only be one man, the man who correctly picked who would leave as WWE champion. Yes, indeed, it is the man who can only hope to bulk up to that sort of level. It's Cameron, the cream of the crop, Anderson.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, John Moxley wasn't there.
Who would have thunk it? Right, let's get right to it. Let's just break down the card as we see it. Show opens rather hot, it has to be said, with the WWE Universal Championship on the line. Roman Reigns successfully retains, but not without a fright from Seth Rollins, who, of course, makes his way down to the ring. We hear the music. We see the vest, and Rollins comes down as a member of the Shield. The shithousery is at maximum effect. Lads, Carl Wilkinson, in fact, let's start with you. What did you think of the Universal title match?
I thought it was a brilliant opener. It was hot. It was great. Roman's facial expressions when Seth's he's still doing like his shit housing, meandering through the crowd, but he's got the Shield gear on. He did his somersault over the barricade. The match was brilliant. I think the finish was a bit flat. I understand it, but it did kind of take away a bit from the overall picture, which was incredible. But that's just nitpicking.
Yeah, Cameron Anderson, that one live up to the hype for you?
Oh, yeah, I thought it was pretty fantastic. I mean, just both guys have really come into their own this past sort of year. Roman Reigns, I've said before, like his facial expressions, his just the way he moves, everything about him. And Seth Rollins as well, there was some really, not so subtle choices made, but there were some subtle choices in there as well, which I think really sort of emphasized the character that he was going for, and it really helped tell the story. So both of these guys, like, very seasoned, obviously, and I'm just excited to see what's next for the story.
Yeah, I thought the match was excellent. I actually thought it was the match that did its job the best of any of them in terms of how it was meant to deliver. The subtle nods to the Shield, the power bomb through the table, the Shield bomb kind of thing. There was a reference, obviously, to the steel chair shots as well, because obviously it sort of broke down at the end. So at the end of the match, I didn't mind there being a stoppage of sorts in that regard, or a disqualification for whatever reason, kind of he wouldn't relinquish the hold, obviously. But the thing is, why would you? And to be honest, it made Charles Robinson look like a fucking twat, and I didn't like that, because obviously Seth Rollins is out, so he lifts up his arm and drops it on the rope, and it's just by happenstance, and it just felt cheap and a bit nasty. And I'm sure they thought this was a really good idea when they wrote it up. For me, it just made me think, you've literally just saved Seth Rollins by essentially cheating and putting his arm on the ropes. That's how it looked to me. I think the idea was going to be that he kind of his own volition did it, but we can't see that because the last thing we see is Charles Robinson dropping his arm. Other than that, excellent. Love, like I say, the Shield reference. They even kind of referenced, didn't they, Rollins' turn on Moxley, the way that he sold being hit on the back of the chair. I'm sure that's not by accident. Seth Rollins was masterful in this and reminded us all that when he's motivated and when he's good, he's really, really fucking good. And to be fair, the momentum kept up very well out of that, because obviously Roman Reigns retains, sort of, just by being a shit house, and everyone's like, oh, you bastard. Okay, fair enough. And then we have the Women's Royal Rumble match. 59 minutes 40. Normally a match that long, I'm like, oh, God. Like, unless you're like, going full Iron Man like Rock and Triple H or Bret and Shawn, a lot of times, but you make a difference for the Rumble, don't you? You make an exception. 30 women. I was worried coming into this. Cameron Anderson turned out to be a real bit of a gem, didn't it? What do you pick from this? What kind of jumps out at you from this match that you really enjoyed?
I mean, you can't really not talk about the return of Ronda Rousey. That is huge. I'm really happy that I changed my pick last minute.
Cheater. Fucking cheats.
It doesn't count as cheats. It's fully legal in the Wrestle Plug official
hacks.
predictions rulebook.
Why are you saying hacks with plural? Like I didn't pick Ronda Rousey early doors. It's hack, okay? He's the hack. Like I picked Ronda Rousey from the get-go. And also, Frankie T, right? I'll just call you out now, you urban sloth, you suburban monkey, like chatting shit, saying, oh yeah, you only fucking picked it because of me. Yo, tell you what, when you can fucking book a crowd of more than 15 people, then you can come and chat shit to me, yeah, bro? Because I had that pick days before you even knew. You filthy little. So unless you're going to put that Immortal Championship on the line to me at some point, shut your whore mouth and get back into the terrible Darby Allin cosplay hole that you came from, and just let me know when you just get up to my level, innit? So, you know what? Cameron Anderson probably deserves a little bit of aggro for jumping on that bandwagon, but like he says, he did do it before the show. So, and you are allowed to change your picks up until the beginning of the show. That has been a PvP special in, pasts gone by. But let's not get distracted. Ronda Rousey's back. And Ronda Rousey being back is good for fucking business because she draws a lot of casual eyeballs. She brings that UFC crowd in, and she's just so fucking lovable and likable. And she's been very quiet from last time around. She feels like more of an assassin. We had a lot of nods as well to her and Shayna Baszler, the four horsewomen of the MMA. Just a shame that the other two have been shit canned and, sent on their ways. We wish them well in their future endeavors. And it wasn't just about that. The whole match was so beautifully put together. Every single woman's entrance had a meaning. There were loads of great returns, loads of women looking fantastic. Kelly said an amazing shape. Michelle McCool looks good, even though she was annoying the shit out of me. Nikki Bella looks so fine. And let's be honest, the return of Sasha Banks at number one looking, oh my days, like, that's illegal is what that is. That's too naughty. That's too naughty for primetime TV. That belongs back in the Attitude Era. That's how hot that is. Even a return for Right to Censor's Ivory and Rhea Ripley dumping her out like the trash that she is. Or should I say the Right to Censor version of her is, because Ivory's a legend and one of the original women from Glow. I thought this was put together beautifully. Even the Naomi spot being denied after she's got one over on Sonya Deville. Still building that rivalry. Not a huge fan of it, but they built it well. Everything worked well. And we even got Sarah Logan as well, which was so cool. Like, we thought we were going to get that emotional return. Are a lot of these women going to stick around long term? I'd love to see Sarah Logan slot back in and help out Liv Morgan and maybe sort of build to, you know what? You've now got an actual tag team to win the women's tag team titles going into WrestleMania. That would be pretty sick. Any other thoughts?
You've forgotten to mention, though, Impact Women's Champion Mickie James.
I can't hog all with her
coming out with the belt. Full presentation, special title card. That was pretty fantastic, I think.
Yeah, that was her Impact music, in case people don't know. Fucking hardcore country.
Country. Can I just say as well, like, I mentioned this obviously when we were watching it, so much energy against WWE. They never do anything. They don't open the forbidden door. They don't do fuck all. She was allowed to come down with a belt. Now, some people might say, yeah, because I guarantee all the haters are going to say, oh, yeah, well, she probably fucking demanded it. She probably said, oh, I'm not doing it unless. So in that case, why did they give it a graphic then? They don't have to do that. And there's no way. It's not like she's going to be able to do fuck all about it. She came out. She had a good run in the Rumble as well. Charlotte Flair, by the way, proved once again why she's fucking fantastic. If you don't like Charlotte Flair, you don't get wrestling. Get out of the room as far as I'm concerned. Like, if you don't see what kind of value she adds. And even the small-time players like Aaliyah and that, they all felt like they meant something when they came in. It just clicked beautifully. And it was by far and away the best booked women's Rumble I've seen. And in my opinion, I mean, it's not even close, is it, in comparison to the other one? We're going to get to it. But yeah, like the number of highlights. Think about how many things we've just mentioned there. Think about how many things we've just spoken about. That in its own tells you how good a Rumble is when you're thinking, oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? Oh, you forgot about this. That is very much the essence of how a Royal Rumble should be. So brilliant. How do you cleanse your palate? With the Raw Women's Championship, because nobody gives a fuck. Becky Lynch defends her title, surprise, successfully against 2021's Worst Female Wrestler Award, courtesy of me. I'm sorry, it's not because of you, it's because of your booking. Doudrop. Match was okay. It was just okay. Any thoughts, gentlemen?
It served its purpose, I guess, right? Like
It was a match.
Yeah, it was definitely a thing that happened with two bells ringing, from one at the start, one at the end.
Yeah.
Becky has another attention. Great. Doudrop got a chance to show what she can do. I don't know, man. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't like to use any match as a piss break, but if I had to choose one tonight, would have been that one. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It just didn't matter. It was so inconsequential.
Well, you
because
just saw Ronda Rousey win, didn't you? Like,
Yeah. And so, I mean, obviously, you see Ronda win, you know who's going to win that. Like, that's like watching The Rock defeat CM Punk for the WWE Championship and then watching Cena win the Rumble. Like, it was like a kick to the dick, obvious.
yes, painfully obvious. Cameron Anderson, anything that you can take away? Can you pick the bones of Becky Lynch versus Doudrop?
What was I thinking? Going for Doudrop. Oh my god, I'm actually an idiot. Oh,
Yeah, well, I mean, this might be news to you. It's not to us.
I just wanted to go out the box. I was thinking, oh, maybe it'll go the other way and maybe I'll get like a sneaky one-up on everyone. But guess what? I'm an idiot. And also, Jay Miller won the Seth Rollins prediction by DQ.
That's such a Jay Miller way to win a prediction, though, isn't it?
Right?
By the guy winning solely because he wasn't good enough to win. He even needed the referee basically to help him get a DQ. Oh, fucking hell. It just is what it is. But yeah, no, some predictions went awry, and don't worry, we will tally them up, ladies and gentlemen, and work out who's won and who's lost overall. And there will be forfeits coming, and there's going to be a lot more coming in the future because obviously we're going to cover or attempt to really cover everything that we see for WWE going forward. So yeah, no, do you know what? I don't care. And I think Becky Lynch has sucked as a heel. And a lot of people, do you know what? She's not even trying to be heel anymore. That's what fucks me off. She's not even trying to do her job or be what she is. She's just going out there and just being very obnoxious, but pandering to the audience as well. Because ultimately, they don't want to boo her. And also, in a way, why would you boo her anyway? Oh, you've come back from being a mother. We're not going to boo that, are we? We're not going to do to oh, you're a feminist, are you? No, you're a strong, powerful woman who's had a kid and got back in shape and to return to be a wrestler. Yeah, you nasty bitch. Doesn't work, does it? Just does not work. And then, just as they've cleansed your palate, it's time to smash it with a sledgehammer because here comes the match we always wanted. For like 20 years, it feels these boys have been ducking each other as Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley finally collide one-on-one for the WWE Championship. Forged in iron, forged in the fires of hell themselves, two MMA specialists coming together to wreak havoc and drop each other on their fucking heads for totality and rage. Germans, suplexes, barrier smashes, and a shell-shocking turn at the end. Carl Wilkinson, how do you unravel everything that you saw as we see ourselves looking upon a brand new WWE champion in Bobby Lashley?
I mean, I was convinced Paul Heyman was back with Brock. I'll be honest. I was fucking convinced. They did so well with that. I don't like ref bumps. I think they're dumb. This one did what it needed to do. I understand that. I hate them. It's such like a cheap, easy way to do something. But to be honest, this one was very effective. You know, those Germans were disgusting. If they didn't have necks the size of my thighs, they would probably be dead.
Yeah.
But the way, like, let's get to it. Ref bump, Roma comes down, bashes Brock, asks for the title from Heyman, who gives it to him, does a fucking sly little Polly smile, and we get a title headshot, which I missed, by the way. We don't get enough of those. They look great. Bobby Lashley's your new WWE champion. So Honestly, good on him. I'm happy they still see Lashley as a top guy because I think his WWE Championship run was incredible last year. So, I mean, not on Roman's level, obviously, but who's going to get there? So, fucking let's give it to him again. Go back into WrestleMania for second year in a row as defending champion.
Yeah, Cameron Anderson, do you think that Brock Lesnar and Lashley will be remembered as the match it should have been? That it lived up to the hype, even though it had the very shady ending, of course, with Roman Reigns costing Brock Lesnar the title, which pretty much signaled the intent for what we were going to see later.
Yeah, I love this match. I just thought, just from the lockups, from the exchanging of holds, suplexes, and then even just Lashley being taken for a ride by Lesnar, because obviously that's not something that we see very often. I thought it was great. I really liked the ending. I really loved Paul Heyman's look to Roman, and then slowly it just turned that they were on the same team. It was pretty fantastic. I think there is room for a sequel here. I think we will get Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar one more time, and hopefully it will be just the clean match that we all want. But you know what? Just to sort of whet our appetite for this match, I thought it did its job very well. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I've waited a long time for this match as a wrestling fan. You know, I'm rapidly approaching 40, and there aren't many matches left for me as a wrestling fan where I think that is legitimately, you know, a special match. And this was, and like you know, you guys saw me. I sort of dropped the headset down. I was like intensely focused on the promo and everything, and it felt big time. It felt like a WrestleMania worthy main event. You know, it felt like WrestleMania X7. It felt like two Goliaths colliding that no one else could really get on that level. And it's kind of done well. It's like a good disappointment that Reigns interfered. And once again, it's Reigns and it's Lesnar and it's Heyman. And it's these people that are doing the best stuff in wrestling, full stop, across all the companies, in my opinion. I don't think anyone else is telling a better story right now than Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns, depending on which angle he's going for. And the fact that he basically turned his back on Brock Lesnar here is a big deal. And we're not talking about it enough, really, because when you think about it, you know, Lesnar has never really been anything but with Paul. Since he came back, he had that brief run. I think he had that terrible match with John Cena where ultimately Cena beat him because he's an idiot. And then they put him back with Heyman, and that's always been the way ever since. And then, of course, even when he's come back, he's like, what are you doing with this bitch? Should be with me. And it's kind of almost been like, you know, battling over a girlfriend. It's quite funny. Masterful. Absolutely masterful. Like you say, I'm not a big fan of these ref bumps. Always get a real big banger or Hebner whiff off of them sometimes, where the referee's down for like 10 minutes and you're like, come on, mate. Like, just make it quick and effective. Distraction's fine. But it worked well. And the Reigns formula with Heyman is just unstoppable. It really is. It's absolute money. Right before we get to the main event, and I'll unleash Carl Wilkinson and let him just fucking go for it, we had the penultimate match of the night, which was the mixed tag team match. Fun would be my review of that. I would say that was a decent, fun little match. Cameron Anderson, did you enjoy it for what it was?
Yeah, I did actually. First of all, I just think Miz and Maurice, like, they are just fantastic together all the time. I feel like they really bring out the best qualities in each other, which is great. And the same can be said for Beth Phoenix and Edge. I just thought they looked amazing. It was amazing to see them together. You know, and to think like throughout their prior WWE careers, they weren't together at that point. They never sort of interacted. So that when they got together after their careers, now that they've got this moment to like show the kids, it's really lovely that they have this now. And I thought like quite a few of the spots worked actually. I really thought Edge was taking the pin when I think he took like a Hurricane Rana from Maurice off the top rope and then a skull crushing finale. Brilliant near fall. I also thought it was really funny Maurice hitting Beth Phoenix with the purse and then Beth Phoenix just kicking out anyway, because what's a purse gonna do to Beth Phoenix? Yeah, I thought it was really fun. I love the finish as well, the double glam slam.
Yeah, Carl, me and you have talking pretty much ad nauseum about the just how this was the match that we should have got at WrestleMania 33 when we had the the Nikki Bella stuff. And then I almost felt sorry for Nikki Bella because it just felt like John Cena ruined the whole thing for me in a way. She was the love-struck puppy who wanted what she wanted, and yeah, she's much happier now, and she looks fantastic for it as well. It has to be said, but it was a fun match, wasn't it? It was easy on the eye, this one.
Absolutely. Like, there was nothing too insane about it because it didn't need to be, especially with what was coming up next. And that fucking
keep it safe.
Yeah, no, we'll get there.
But
seeing Edge and Beth together, like Cam said, is absolutely beautiful. They have a beautiful family. They're couples goals. # couples goals. That glam slam was great. Beth looks fierce and terrifying, and like she could rip my head off with a single arm. Just literally just do this and just lift me and die. Miz and Maurice played their parts to perfection, as Miz in particular always does. He might not be, I don't think he'll ever win another world championship. I was surprised he won it last year, to be honest. Yeah. But he will always have a place in this company because he is just that good.
Yeah, I concur. It was wonderful. It definitely felt like it was a bucket list moment for Edge. He was like, "Yo, do you mind if I wrestle with my missus?" It'd be really cool for me, like, to go out there. And Beth is in amazing condition. She's always kept herself in great shape. We saw her return at the women's rumbles, and she even got involved, didn't she? I think she tagged with Natalya for a tag team title match a couple of years back. She's done good stuff, and she always has delivered. And she's really maturing beautifully. Like a fine wine with age, just getting better and better in many ways. And this was cool. It was worked very well. And you could tell this is what happens when you put 4 fantastic professionals in a ring who know each other, who respect the craft of professional wrestling. With the match at WrestleMania 33, and the reason I go back to that is because that's kind of my only point of reference, really, in this kind of match. Because it is, couple versus couple. That just didn't feel organic. It didn't feel like it was, it felt like a publicity stunt. This, on the other hand, felt like 2 partnerships that wanted to stamp their approval on their relationships and say, we are the couple around here that people respect, not you. And it just was done to perfection. And again, The Miz doing a great job, as Maurice does, of putting over other talent while keeping themselves looking strong and fantastic. And then we have, as the main event, the men's Royal Rumble match. The winner, of course, will have the opportunity to face a champion of his choosing. I wonder which one he'll choose at WrestleMania in Dallas, Texas. I mean, I'm not the only one who's rapidly peering at 40. I mean, we're getting close to WrestleMania 40. That'll be soon before you know it. But before that, we have a couple of stops at least. And looks like old Brocky Wocky Lesnar just couldn't wait to get his revenge. You kind of smelled it after the WWE title match, but Carl Wilkinson, I'm going to give you the opportunity to start the proceedings and let us know what you thought of the 2022 men's Royal Rumble match.
Honestly, man, this is 1995 level bad. It was booked awful. Well, like, am I salty that Kevin Owens didn't win? Of course I am. I in my head, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I wanted it anyway. But not only does he get eliminated, he gets eliminated by a sweaty thumb. Shane McMahon is the only real big surprise. I guess Bad Bunny was in there too. That was really cool. I like Bad Bunny. Him hitting the Destroyer was sick. Kevin Owens gets eliminated by Shane fucking McMahon. Like, this Rumble was awful. AJ at number 1, great. There was some good stuff. There was good, but no. It was, I hate it. I hate everything. Brock winning, I don't care. Him and Roman, we get to see it again. Fine. We've seen it before. They've had some good stuff. They've played tug of war with a belt. Which one will we get this time, lads? Nah, this should be good. This Roman and this Brock, that'll be fun. But he didn't need to get the win in the Rumble. He'd be like, oh, you fucked me out of my title. I'm a free agent. I'm going to come over and take it. They didn't need to do this. They forced it on us. And how have they never realized forcing shit on us like this doesn't work? We're going to reject it.
Yeah, before I unleash my fury, Cameron Anderson, your thoughts on the men's Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I think Kyle just sort of hit it on the head, like just lack of star power, lack of surprises. a lot of questionable decisions. I will say Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn had a brilliant spot. Also, Bad Bunny, like Kyle mentioned, Bad Bunny did an excellent job. I loved his little bit with Rey Mysterio where he set up the 619 on Dolph. He eliminated Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler. I think that's a fantastic spot for him to do. And, you know, he did show respect to wrestling by continuing to be great. So no problem with those two. I think Johnny Knoxville as well, very sort of giving with what he'd let the wrestlers do. So that's fantastic. Yeah, just pretty deflating ending, to be honest. Like, I love Brock Lesnar. He's probably one of my top sort of 5 favorites. But yeah, it's just not a great Rumble.
Shit is what it was. It was a shit Rumble. It was booked fucking horribly. I'm amazed that Carl Wilkinson, maybe just because he's tired, bless him, and I'm exhausted, but I'm so fucked off that after everything that we went through, and you know what, right? Okay, Becky versus Doudrop, it's a bit boring. And the mixed tag match was just the match it was meant to be. But everything up until this point had done its job properly and well and delivered. And then it's like, this is easy. You guys go out there, have fun, do crazy spots. Kofi Kingston botching his spot was an absolute spot-on analogy for this whole fucking match. You know, he gets knocked off. He's supposed to kind of balance, and he doesn't. His feet hit the floor, and even the referee can see him go, look, mate, sorry, bud, like, everyone can see it. And they had to show the replay. And you know what? They handled that really well, because they could have just bullshitted the audience or lied to us, not shown that camera angle and pretended. But they knew. They knew the fans will dump on this if we try and blag it. So, and they would have booed the fucking house down. And it's not Kofi Kingston's fault. And you worry whether Kofi Kingston might not have another opportunity to do something like that again. But, you know, Eddie Kenway watched it with us. He feels like the New Day are starting to run their course a little bit. I'm inclined to agree a little bit. And maybe this might be the cherry on top for that. Maybe this might be the kind of catalyst to shift that along a little bit more. It just feels like a turn is eventually going to be coming. But as soon as Big E got dumped out, kind of like trash, it was like, well, okay, well, we know Lesnar's winning. Like, because he was the only other guy that made sense other than possibly Drew. And, you know, there was some, if I can be super positive about a match I hated, like there were a couple of good, clever plot lines with it coming down to Drew and Brock, because Drew is the one who eliminated him a couple of years ago and almost kicked him. Claymore kicked him as hard as he could out of the main event. But the whole thing from start to finish was fucking tedium. Bad wrestlers or average wrestlers. Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin, they built the middle of the Rumble around these guys. And I like those guys. I think they're funny, but that's what they are. They are mid to low card job funny guys. You know,
they're not AJ Styles eliminators. They're not. Those two have fucking eliminated AJ fucking Styles.
Yeah, I know. Like AJ Styles. To be honest, I knew as soon as he came in at number 1, because it's funny because Kenway thought he was going to win, didn't he? And I was just like, like, you know, I just don't think so. It felt so underwhelming. There was barely any surprises. The biggest pops were for Bad Bunny and Johnny Knoxville, who did their job better than anybody else. How sad that the two biggest pops, the two most over names, are guys who don't wrestle. One is a lunatic whose job is to get hit with all kinds of weaponry and do bad stunts and have his testicles, you know, warped and mutilated in certain ways. And the other one, you know, appears on a famous film franchise called Jackass. Yeah, it's very strange to me. Very strange. Like, you know, I just, whatever. Of course, I'm joking. I love Bad Bunny. His music's fine. You know, and Bad Bunny cares. He cares, doesn't he? And I love that. He comes out and he does his stuff. But, you know, even something as small as Matt Riddle, right? Like, now I feel like Matt Riddle's a bitch. Because all I've seen on Twitter is, I'll fight Brock Lesnar. I'll fight him. I'll whip his ass. Well, Brock Lesnar was down there, and you literally, the sum of your interactions was to get thrown around like a little bitch and tossed out like a fucking tiny bit of garbage that nobody cares about. Randy Orton tossed out like garbage. Big E tossed out like garbage. You couldn't even kind of build decent plot lines. If you had at least had worked hard and booked the proper wrestling in between and had good spots and made everyone look much stronger, people would have enjoyed the match a little bit more, in my opinion. I don't know what social media's gauge on this is. I'd be surprised if people enjoyed it, because I thought it was really tedious. And, you know, here comes Robert Pood and Poogs and Dolph Ziggler and shit stain Nakamura. Fucking, are there any good, interesting build? Where are the surprise returns? There weren't any. Where's the Forbidden Door? There wasn't one. We didn't think there was going to be, but there was just nothing at all. Do you know what? I could just hear Roman Reigns promo. Oh, it's just 15 years of missionaries. The same thing we've had for 15, 20 years. Bad Royal Rumble. One of the worst they've had in the modern era. Any other thoughts, lads?
The last few, I think 2020, 2021 were both incredible.
Yeah, two of the best
they've had. The Edge return in 2020. I mean, that's going to be probably my best Rumble moment ever.
Yeah, we've Drew eliminated Brock as well.
Oh, yeah. Edge going coast to coast last year was great, but it was also booked well. Am I going to see Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens again? Because
what the fuck? Why is Shane McMahon, like, sorry to interrupt you, why the fuck is Shane McMahon in it? Never mind eliminating Kevin Owens, who is the hottest wrestler you've got going at the moment. The crowd are so behind him. They booed like crazy when the heel guy lost to Damian Priest, who's supposed to be a big face. Damian Priest got slapped around by Omos, who, by the way, is green as shit and boring. He's the jolly green giant. Never mind anything else. He's green as shit, this guy. He's boring as fuck. You fucking hell. Do you know what? Like, watching this Rumble was like watching Tamina's greatest hits on DVD. Like, just utter misery and apathy. Please continue.
I don't even know where to keep going, man, because I was so hyped for this. The Royal Rumble event, the Royal Rumble matches are always so much fun. The women's one was great. All the matches leading up to that, other than the Raw Women's Championship, but it did its job. It did what it needed to do. Fine. I'm like, hell yeah, the men's Royal Rumble might get a few surprises in there, and we did. But that was a surprise, like a fist in your butthole, and fucking just like
a lot of poo jokes running around the night.
Well, that's what happens when your main event is shit.
Yeah,
because we expected so much, and honestly, we deserve that from this event because. This is probably 98% of people's favorite event. The Royal Rumble is supposed to be so much fun. It's the beginning of the road to WrestleMania. You get hyped. You see characters interact in the Rumble that might not because they're on different brands. You see the seed sowed for what's supposed to come down the line. We didn't get anything from that. The only thing I got from that is we all know Brock's going to face Roman, which is what was going to happen if Roman didn't test positive for COVID. Glad he's fine and everything, but I got no storyline development for the next 2 months out of this match. And I don't care.
Yeah, 4.5 minutes left on the pod, boys. Cameron Anderson, anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I thought Nikki and Brie Bella did a great job. I thought they were lovely.
Yeah, they should have been in the men's Rumble as well. Might have saved it a little bit. I thought that it brought to an end and deflated me and ruined a lot of the show for me. Like, I'm not going to be petulant and say, oh yeah, I hate this whole show. It's, most of the show was excellent or did its job well. It was kind of like a 7 or an 8 out of 10, and you're thinking, oh, I'll tell you what, if the men's Rumble delivers it, we could be over the top. And once again, we're talking about one of the better Royal Rumble pay-per-views of the last 10, 15, maybe 20 years. And instead, we're like, nothing happened. It wasn't even like shit, was it, really? Other than a few bad eliminations, it was just nothing happened. Utter apathy, utter nothingness. It was just it wasn't even mid. It was boring.
That's the worst part. It's not that it was terrible. It's that there was nothing of note.
No. We'd love to know what you guys think, to be honest. Are we being too harsh or are we being, kind? Did you think it was fucking garbage? Let us know. Comments below. Send them in as well. This is available on audio. We'll try and endeavor to get this on YouTube because I know a lot of you guys have been saying, yo, send some more YouTube videos and stuff like that. But As always, it's wrestleplug@gmail.com, or it's at wrestleplug on social media if you want to have your say. Of course, you can follow these guys on social media. You'll notice right now, if you're watching it on YouTube, that their tags are, of course, on the screen. Give them a follow. Check them out, especially our boy over here, Cameron, who's doing great things, and I guarantee will be doing even greater things as far as professional wrestling goes in Great Britain. And, of course, Carl Wilkinson will continue to be joining me to wax lyrical about how much of a fucking sack of shit Shane McMahon is, and how he shouldn't be on TV at all. And the fact that we're actually going to have Shane McMahon on TV again, if I hear his music on Raw, turning it off, mate. You think I'm staying out to watch that when I could be watching the NFL, which is going to be infinitely better? Or fucking, actually, it's Monday night, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I'll watch porn, fuck you, because that's much better. Simple as that, really. But from myself, Aeron X, from Carl Wilkinson, and from Cameron Anderson, thank you very much for listening or watching. Whatever you choose to do, you can find WrestlePlug wherever you get your podcast. You can find us on YouTube as well. Thanks for making us one of the more successful podcasts, particularly when it comes to kind of, low-level podcasting in Great Britain. I'm very proud of that, and I'm very proud of all the guys who come on and help us out. And, of course, big shout-out to all our friends who joined us for the watch-along party. It takes a lot of energy when a show doesn't finish till 5 in the morning. It's a long, long evening for a lot of us. But thank you very much for watching, as I've said, and we'll catch you very soon for more content from the WrestlePlug.